financial independence mean to you?
Have what I want and what I need without having any concern around money at all, what money means to me, and that's very different now to what it was when it all started.
Stop it. Your generation is going to be the one where it stops.
Try and reinterpret it a different way, and if it still doesn't land, I'll say, well, maybe just keep an eye out for it.
Welcome, I'm Tracy Irwin and I'm passionate about financial independence and want to share stories of inspiring entrepreneurs to prove it's possible for everyone to strive towards financial freedom. Today, I'm talking to Dayle Adams, an international psychic medium and educator. So welcome, Dayle. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
No, it's lovely to be invited, Tracy. Thank you very much.
So I have one question I ask all my guests up front, and I'd like to know, what does financial independence mean to you?
It means being able to have what I want and what I need without having any concern around money at all, knowing that if something crops up, like car problems, any house problems, that there's money in the bank to pay for it, to be able to get some holidays and breaks and actually have some time off work as well, where that's already covered, because you've got the financial ability to do that and have that freedom.
Yeah, that's true. And it is about freedom, isn't it? It's not about, there's no like physical money like attached to that. It's more about the freedom and the choice of being able to do what you want, isn't it? I think that's what most people
Yes.
find.
Yeah.
And have you had a roller coaster journey to get there, or do you kind of
Just
like
a little bit.
oh, okay. Do you want to share a little bit?
I think a lot of people end up going through obviously various times, don't they, where we've got abundance to where we've got lack. And I think, so many people go through that in their life. But yes, due to my business background, I've certainly gone through a roller coaster ride of money and what money means to me. And that's very different now to what it was when it all started, and how I sort of grew up around money and what happened from there. Yes.
Did you find, so how long have you had your ability, by the way, the psychic ability? Does that come later in life? Have you always known it's been there?
No, I didn't know that I'd got it. I've obviously since learned about certain things that were within my childhood that would have maybe indicated that I had some type of psychic connection. But at the time, nightmares, a bit of OCD, having these feelings or knowings or not wanting to go somewhere, and I just thought was normal. Apparently not completely normal for everybody. I didn't learn that until later on in life, but I was in my mid-20s when I actually was told by a medium that I had the ability to communicate with spirit and give mediumship readings. I was developed as a medium. That also therefore means I have a psychic ability too. So yeah, that's been over 25 years now.
And has that ability helped you in any way with your actual money mindset? Has it kind of give you comfort in any way?
It didn't
Okay.
until recently, when I actually went as a full-time psychic medium, started training other people, and really started to look at my mindset. And some of that started around after my mum dying 3 years ago. Then I started to really look, because I went through a massive lack problem again at that point.
Okay.
And then started to think, this can't be how it's going to continue. I'm not willing to continue on this roller coaster all the time and feeling that, how do I bring the money in? So I started to read books like Bob Proctor, and sort of change your paradigm, change your life, looking at what energies are. And this all then came into my mediumship work and my psychic work and energy work. Because at the end of the day, I stand and I say to people, we are all energy. Everything around us is energy, and so is money. And so when we start to look at it from an energetical perspective and from a flow perspective, it really does then change your mindset around it coming in, it going out, it coming in, and actually rotating money and allowing money to flow. Because again, we can block it. And if we block it, that's not actually helpful, because it needs to go back out and then come back into you. You have to let money go for more money to come through. And so you have to not block it, but you also have to enable it and allow it, which I realise, I think, some of why, and through childhood and various things, why I was literally getting rid of money, Tracy. It wasn't that I didn't have it. I'd get it and I would get rid of it
Yeah.
so that I'd be back in that lack. And then I started to obviously look into why was I doing that?
Yeah.
And what did I need to do myself and have this paradigm shift to allow me to hold some money, but let some flow through, but make sure that I was, bringing this energetical connection to money. I
I
think
think
that makes
awareness,
sense.
yeah, totally. I think awareness is the first point, isn't it? It's like so many people live life like thinking their lack just comes and they think that it's the norm, like that it's nothing to do with them. It's some outside circumstances that are happening to them that create that. But once you actually start looking into the energy and the flow of money and everything is energy, you're correct. But the energy of money, and actually suddenly we realize that it is us that, we have this like ceiling of like money, but like you say, so many people, it's easy, it comes easy, but it goes it as easy. And it's like understanding that it's us that do that. It's our subconscious, isn't it? That's kind of there. So
I, I also think it comes down our family lines, and I didn't realize, I literally had like an aha moment a couple of months ago when I realized that my female family line is more poverty stricken than my father's family line,
wow.
which always had money. And so when I started to look at this, it also helped me to say, I'm going to stop this now. This
Yeah.
isn't going to carry on beyond me, because when my mum and dad got together, don't get me wrong, together they were both very successful. My mum was a very good teacher. And she did very well. She then had her own business. So it wasn't that she had nothing. But when you look at it, it was the connection between my mum and dad and bringing these two family lines together. And then I'd look at me and my brother, and he was fairly stable and now is wealthy. And all my dad's family, all the brothers, and they're all have wealth, and yet my mum's family line don't. They don't have that same level of wealth. And I actually had to look at it and say, right, where does this leave me? And what do I need to do to stop this continuing down the females as such in the family? And that again may sound very strange to people, but it really did sort of hit me. And I'm like, actually, that's right. And it
Yeah.
is. So I need to own the fact as a female that it is okay for me to have the same abundance level and the same wealth level as the males and the male business side of the family.
Absolutely love that. And it's about giving yourself permission and understanding and believing that you're worthy for that as well. And making it, yeah, love it. Stop it. Your generation is gonna be the one where it stops. And obviously, like you've got a daughter as well. So that's kind of like,
Have
that'll go down to her and it'll just
yeah.
continue. So it's allowing yourself the permission to actually be wealthy, worthy. I don't know. Like it's a mixture of both, isn't it? It's got to come from somewhere.
Because I
Uh,
do think the wealth, it's also that abundance, isn't it? So abundance is in everything, and wealth is one, it's a big part of that, but actually it's allowing yourself to be abundant in your life. And yet I've got two daughters, and for me, it's very much, this needs to stop with me, and I need to be the one that changes that energetical line and allows it to go down. Yeah.
it is. And are your daughters like how old are your daughters, if you don't mind me asking?
They're mid-20s.
Mid-20s. So do they? Do you feel that they have a good money mindset? Have they what like they created like the abundance mindset that you have now? Has that helped them in their like early 20s?
It's interesting because as I've changed through the energetical work that I'm doing and the psychic work, that's rippled out absolutely around me. And the way that they now view things is different because the way I view things is different. Therefore, my influence over my children is different. So if they start talking about money now, we're like, yes, well, we need to look at it like this. And don't worry about it and have some ease with it and let it flow and accept that obviously money has to go out, but then it'll come back in. And because of the way I talk around money, it has definitely changed their mindset around money. But they're both different. They're both different with the way they are with money. But I do feel that again for them, the abundance will now keep coming in, and they won't, I hope, due to the work that I'm doing and I will continue to do, go through the roller coaster journey that I had. Plus, they both know and believe that they are worthy of having it. And I
Yeah.
think, that came even before me having all this shift. Yeah.
Yeah, me and my daughter talk about it a lot because, like, obviously, I've been on this money mindset journey for the last few years, and I feel like the same. Like, the more I've changed and we have conversations about it, the more I hear things in her, like the way she says things. And it's funny because I was watching something just yesterday, and I heard the gentleman say, like, I used to hear my dad say these things and I swore I'd never say them. And then he was like, and then I found myself saying them as a father. And I was like, I was screaming, going, that's just subconscious.
Yeah.
Like, literally, we learn things as children. And where we might say, we're not going to say that. And I do hear my daughter say things that I would have said when she was younger. And the more I learn and become more conscious about stuff, like, I talk about her childhood to her because I think it's important to say, I've realized this. And she's like, and she says things back to me, but that's an automatic reaction. I'm like, yeah, for your subconscious, because I wasn't conscious back then. So
Yeah, I
it's
get it.
it's important, I think, to have the conversations even once you become aware, because again, I want this to stop at my generation too. So,
Yes.
I've got grandchildren. So it's like, and I hear the dynamics in the family, and sometimes I'll say, oh, like, and I question it now, whereas I never would have done before. Are you working harder than ever, but feeling like you're getting nowhere? You're not alone. Most business owners I speak to feel trapped in their own success, working 60 hours plus a week, missing family time, and honestly, they're not even sure why they feel so stuck. They just know something needs to change. If this sounds familiar, I've created a quick quiz to help you find out why you feel stuck in your business. It takes only 2 minutes, and I give you clarity on exactly what's keeping you trapped, and more importantly, how to break free. The link's in the description, so why not take it now?
I was at my dad's recently and we were talking about something, and it's also being aware of your words, isn't it? Because we were having this conversation. I honestly can't remember what it was, but we were having this conversation, and all of a sudden, I literally went, well, money's the root of all evil. I know. And then I literally did the whole, what the have I just said? And then I really had to sit with that and go, why on earth do I think the money is the root of all evil? Where's that come from? And again, it's a childhood thing, isn't it? But then I started to look at it, and one of the when I started to look at my mindset around money, money made me vulnerable. So when I started to think about why is it that I get rid of it? Why do I get rid of money? It's about that vulnerability of having money. Money makes you a target. Money makes people judge you and sometimes be mean to you. Money means that people want to steal what you've got. Because once you have money, you own things. When you own things, people will take them. These are my experiences in life. People will, even though you're lovely and you're a good friend, one thing I once get, and I've spoken about it, was where I was out with two friends and I found some money on the floor, and one of them went, well, money always goes to money. Because my family did have money when I was younger. And and so you start to have these things around money. I remember going in and buying my BMW and going in and getting that again when I had the wealth, and then denied. Yeah, I basically denied it. I was going to say, did I? But yeah, I did. I'd be a bit like, oh, well, it was on discount because the reg plate had just
You say something
changed.
like,
And,
the
and
company owns it.
and you start to make excuses for the fact that you've just walked out with this new car. And so
Should be
I
celebrating that.
realized, yeah, but you don't. And so to me, what happened is I realized that I found money to be um, this catalyst for me being judged, me not maybe fitting with some of the people that I had as friends, maybe not wanting to show up in my new car, feeling that people would try and take it, or constantly. My dad was like, don't park here, somebody will scratch it. Don't do this, someone will bump it. Don't leave it there, someone will steal it. So you end up with this constant thought, of I've become a target. So I realized that a lot of it was about getting rid of it to remove the vulnerability.
That's really interesting because a lot of what you said, like those points was like point of like think and drop in, Tracy drop it in because the judging thing and the vulnerability about not fitting in with people around you, that actually says so much more about them than it does about you. Like it's a mirror being held up to them because of their own insecurities, and that's really hard. And that's kind of what we need to get over when we have that. It's not about being vulnerable. The judgment thing is because it's the people you hang around with, where you are, that's comfortable and safe. But actually, you are entitled to the abundance, to the wealth, and it says much more about them than it does about you. The whole thing about stealing is your personal like circumstances, it's your lived experience. And I think that's kind of it does make you slightly vulnerable because you've been there, done that, but not everyone is this that's like it's an unfortunate experience that you actually need to process, get through the trauma, and then know that not everyone's like that, isn't it? And I think that's the journey that you've been on, isn't it? It's like understanding that those are the things that made you feel vulnerable, but actually when you work through all these little different things, then the vulnerability disappears because it's not about you, it's about them. And I think that understanding that will help your abundance mindset that you have now.
I completely agree. But I also feel that as you get older, we choose who we're around and we want to be, I often say to people, you're a culmination of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you're going through your life, there are times that you are around people and you want them in your life regardless. But you want people who want to raise you up and you then too, that's the whole point. But I do think that everything you say, it's very valid, and we have to accept that this is our journey, and we do want to have that abundance. And it's not all about money; it's just about having again good people, good things, and around us, and having this good life. And so, but yeah, it is about that journey that you've been on. And now I also look at it that if that's ever said to me, I'm like, but it's a car. If someone wants to steal it, take it. It's a
Yeah.
car, you
Yeah.
know, or whatever it is, don't get me wrong. But, it is, you end up saying, well, yes, but if I can have that abundance mindset, I can bring it back in again. I can get what I need and what I want. Whereas before it's like, and I know, and I even look at it with everything now, intellectual property, everything's, I used to try and hang on to everything. And if anybody wanted to take it from me, I'd fight for it. And now I'm like, maybe I'm just not meant to have it then. I'll let it go. Allow something new back in, something better will come.
I want to go back to a conversation we had before we press record because
Okay.
you said about the time and how you needed to be off because you have a really full day of clients. And we were taught, and you said the 2 words where you said to your daughter, I don't know where they've come from. But actually, what you've just said encapsulates all of that because where do you think they've come from?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm working as a psychic medium and I'm completely tuning into the universe and believing that everything I do is about being in service of people. And so I'm obviously opening up to that. But Tracy, that was a huge risk. I mean, I'd finished doing a project working on an end of life book for children called Tark the Robot. Tark is a robot called Tark the Robot, and we
Okay.
did a book called Tark and the Grieving Children. We all grieve
Okay.
differently. And once I'd finished that project, which is with another company that I have, I was like, if I carry on doing what I'm doing, I'm not going to let my mediumship properly into my life. But I need to, because this is where I'm constantly called back. And over the 25 years, I have been called back into this work, but other things have made me think I can, I need, I need a steady income. I need to be doing this. I need to be working here rather than actually, this is what I really want to do. This is what my heart and soul wants to do. So I went full time on the 1st of April with no clients. I literally finished the book project on the 31st of March
Yeah.
and had made a decision a month before that from the 1st of April, that was it. I was going to be a full-time psychic medium. I was going to stop everything else I was doing with no clients, nothing. And I've, again, we've all got bills to pay. And I just thought, that's it. And I literally was like, if this is meant to be, universe, you'll bring it forward. And don't get me wrong, there's been exceptionally tough months, obviously, where I'm juggling money. I've had to put an awful lot on credit cards. And I'm like, oh my God, how on earth am I going to get myself back out of this? But I kept persisting through the resistance, because the resistance is, do I just go and work at Tesco? And I mean that, if I genuinely, or do I go and get a bar job, or do I, do something else to back this up? But I was like, no, I've got faith in what they're going to bring forward. If this is what they want me to do, this is, and I know not everybody can work like that, but I just kept going, no, you've got to show me, you've got to bring this forward, because I'm trusting in this process. Yeah, and it's now been over a year, but the difference it's made in my life is beyond anything I could have imagined. Not just from the financial, but everything, the way I feel, the people I'm connected to, the relationships I'm building, and the money and the clients that are coming in. It's just been phenomenal. Yeah.
I can't stop smiling because I just love that story. And it's about fulfillment, isn't it? Like we need, when we're fulfilled with what we're doing, somehow the clients just turn up because they're drawn to us. So like, how do you help clients? What do they come to you for?
Well, most of them don't really know. I mean, I literally have had people say, I don't know why I'm here. I just heard about you and I wanted to see what it was all about. So you do get those who are just curious, like what will happen when they sit on a screen like this, or they sit in front of me and I just say, right, I'm going to tune into your energy and I then read for you. Some people come and they have lots of questions. The first thing I do is say, I don't really take questions. This isn't a Q&A. I'm not, it's not like a telephone hotline. What I do is I open up and I communicate using symbols, signs, the way I feel, my frame of reference, so my database. They'll use that for me to give messages over to people. But it can be anything from somebody, a baby that was lost, to recently there was a 6-year-old who died of cancer at one of the ones I was doing, to somebody's mom, dad, nan, godmother. I mean, it's anyone and everything, and I have absolutely no control over it. I don't know who's going to come through, and sometimes they can jumble, and I can like, okay, we've got a male and a female, and I get symptoms of one and symptoms of the other, and then we have to sort of work it out. Or I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I kept saying, I mean, I don't know where they come from. I mean, I'm doing quite a bit in America at the moment. And apparently they're coming in from TikTok. So, like, okay. And I just kept saying, I just keep seeing this red sand and this, and this landscape. And she was like, no, I live in this town. I'm like, this is what I've got. And there's agriculture and farming. And she said, oh, that's where I moved from. And she said, and there's a place there called Red Rock. And I'm like, you could be anywhere in the US, and so sometimes it's about what's going on in their life, and people sort of a little bit like, but I know all that, that's what I'm doing. I said, yeah, but I don't. So the only way I can tell you about your life is if somebody's telling me, because, how do you determine when you have billions of people in the world that the person sat in front of you lives or lived and has recently moved from somewhere where they had this red sand, red rock landscape, to the point that she said, yeah, well, we have a place, I lived by Red Rock. Okay, you can't get that from somebody's energy psychically. Someone's telling me. So you get all of this information about people. It can help them with their life, where they are, what's happening, where they're going forward. But I wouldn't class myself, and I don't, as a fortune teller or a love reader.
Right, okay.
It comes up occasionally, but more than anything, it's about, what does somebody need to help them forward at this time? And that can be, one of the readings I did very recently was telling a lady how her mother died. And I was talking about the pain that she'd had and the problems and what had happened. And I said, I'm sorry that they're going through this, because I've had people say before, but why do they give you all the symptoms? But what ended up happening is there was a reason she'd given all the symptoms, because actually the person who sat in front of me was blaming themselves for some of what had happened surrounding her mum's death. And because this lady gave me all these symptoms and feelings first, it very much and very quickly determined that there was no reason for this person who was sat in front of me to hold any blame or guilt whatsoever in relation to how her mum died. So that was the reason they were giving it, you know? So I
So
think,
what the
does that
most
answer your question?
yeah, no, it was really interesting. Thank you. Your business is successful, so why do you feel so miserable? Here's the thing, success doesn't always automatically equal freedom. I see profitable business owners every day who can't take a holiday, who can't switch off, and they feel completely overwhelmed by their own achievements. Sound familiar? Well, I've created a simple quiz that pinpoints exactly why you feel stuck in your business. It will give you the clarity you need to move from being trapped to being free. Why don't you take the quiz now? The link's in the description below. When people go away, are they going away with answers that they never had the question to in the first place? Is that kind of like what happens? Because you just said you don't answer questions, which is like, you know, we see all these fortune tellers, don't we? And they say,
Yeah.
what do you want to know? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
oh, what can you tell me? But
Yeah, and this is my thing, is that that isn't how I work, because for
mm,
me, I'm in service of spirit. You know, I'm basically, as far as I'm concerned, I trust that they bring the people to me that need to come to me, and then I deliver the information that they want this person to receive. Okay, so that can be what's going on in their life, the fact that they need to, and I've said to people, you need to shift. You're not happy in the work that you're doing. They're showing me this, this, and this. They're telling me that you've got this gift or this ability. Yeah, I was talking to somebody again this week, and I was talking about driving, and I said something about driving, and she said, yes, I'm just having some lessons. And I said, okay, but they're telling me you've already passed your test. So why are you having lessons? So, you know, this was somebody, again, it was sort of from an age perspective, you would expect her to be driving, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something around her confidence, and I spoke about her confidence in driving, and she said, I'm just having some driving lessons. And I said, but they're telling me you've already passed the test. And she said, yes, I have. And I said,
wow.
and they're saying you don't need driving lessons, you know. So I'm it's what that person needs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm told that people have questions, or I'll say, you know, I understand that there's maybe a question that you have, and then uh, I say I allow it. But again, you do have to sort of control the readings, else it can get completely all about the other person. And the whole point is that my job is not to get the information from the person sat in front of me, is to give the information to the person sat in front of me, because I don't want somebody at the end going, yeah, well, I pretty much told her that, and then she guessed the rest. So,
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
no,
It's like it's not about like finding the answers to the certain questions because it's quite often you could guess those. I'm guessing. I don't it's a really strange one for me because I totally like I believe and but I've never had an experience where anybody came through or anything.
no,
So it's more of it's an intrigue. I'm very, very curious.
yeah.
And I just yeah, it just helps to explain really. So but so who like do you help do you help people? Like, does people ever go away with like a better, and not just a money mindset, just a better mindset in general? Is that kind of like how you help?
I believe so, yes, absolutely. For me, you can see people literally change in an hour's reading and walk away
Mm.
lighter. And for me, I would say it's about walking away lighter, or with maybe something that they need. I do say to people, you know, this isn't about what you want, it's about what you need. And again, that's my request when I'm working with spirit, is that it's to help somebody so that
Yeah.
they can move forward lighter, like the lady walking away, knowing that actually she can let go of any guilt that she's holding, you know, or people knowing that somebody hadn't suffered at the end, or that they knew that they were there with them at the end, or simply that things in their life that they're actually, it's the right thing for them to look for another job, or it's the right thing and again, there was a comment made within this drawing one, and as soon as I'd said it, and I said, "Don't get in the car with your older brother," and this girl went, "Oh, why?" And I went, you need to go with your sister-in-law. And she went, "Oh my God, I literally had that conversation yesterday.
Wow.
I literally said yesterday," and I actually told her why she shouldn't go in with her older brother. I told her why it should be, but she literally, "I had that conversation yesterday." And I'm like, yeah, good, because they're proving that they're around, they know what's
Yes.
going on with you, that, and so this will happen. And I'll be saying things to people and they'll go, literally, I was talking about that earlier, or this happened last week. And it's like, it's sort of proving that the energy and those people are still around you, they're still with you. But also it can be things that are forward. I can say something to somebody and they'll go, I don't know what that is, or I don't understand that. And I say, like, fine. And I'll try to sort of change, because again, they're using my frame of reference. So sometimes I have to go, well, okay, let me just see if I'm misinterpreting, and I can maybe try and reinterpret it a different way. And if it still doesn't land, I'll say, well, maybe just keep an eye out for it. And then you can have it. It was a long time ago, somebody about ceramic ducks. And then I got a message, a couple of weeks later saying, "You never believe it, I've just walked into my mum's house and there's ceramic ducks on the fridge," and things like this. And you think, some of it is to say it's about showing that they're around you and that's
Yeah.
staying around you.
That's just given me so much comfort, by the way. Like what you've just said about them being around has given me massive, massive comfort. And just reminded me of a story. So when I was much, much younger, I had a reading, and the medium kept talking about this box of buttons that meant absolutely nothing to me at all. And I kept saying to her, "They don't mean anything." And I talked to my mum about it later, and she was like, "Oh," she said, "when you were a toddler," she said, "and you went to grandma's," she said she used to give you just this box of her buttons. It were just random buttons in a tub, and they kept you like occupied for like hours." And I'm like, and I don't remember the box of buttons, but my mum did. And so I can see that
Yeah.
totally. So thank you. Honestly, I do.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of comfort right now.
Yeah.
Can we go back to the book on grief, please? Because like
Yeah.
I spoke to you a few times and we've never discussed this, and I'm just like intrigued. It's like and how did it happen, and like where can people find it?
Okay. So when my mum was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, before
Yeah.
that, a great friend died of suicide. So I started looking into end of life principles, self-harm and suicide. And then when my mum also became ill, I did a course in end of life facilitation. So I'm trained and accredited in helping people to sort of put plans in place for their end of life and look
Okay.
at what they need and what will help support them and their family to their sort of last breath and beyond, basically. In doing that, I started looking, and this is really how I ended up back in this dying, death, loss, and grief area, which brought me back to obviously back into the mediumship, etc. So when I was doing this, I was looking for something, and I was constantly looking for something that would help people around grief and loss. And one day I was on Facebook, and it was one of the local groups to me, and I just saw this really cute little piece of art that was a little robot, with a message, with like a compassionate, empathetic message next to it. And I was just like, I love that. Oh my God. And in fact, just behind me, you might just see there's a little sort of love here, and it's him, and it's one of the pieces of art. And I was like, I really love that. So I decided to reach out to the artist and said, basically, really like your art. I think it would be very helpful for people who are grieving and various things. Turned out he lived in the next village to me. I mean,
Wow.
yeah, could have been anywhere in the UK. Lived in the next village to me. So we ended up meeting up, and I started to then sort of say, this little character should be on everything. Tark the robot was just a cute little robot, with this big red heart, who basically was delivering messages of love and compassion and kindness. The artist is fabulous. His name's Scott Harris. And we ended up deciding that I was like, you need this on mugs and everywhere. This little character needs to be on greetings cards. So we ended up collaborating. So we now have a business together. In that, basically, we were sort of interested in doing a children's book. So we'd been to the library, looked at various children's books. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, why don't we do something that brings in the loss and the grief from my side, There was a fabulous children's bereavement specialist and author called Lorna Vise, and I then spoke to her and she agreed to write the book. And then there's a gentleman, a death shaman from Canada called Stephen Garrett, who came up with the 7 languages of sorrow. And so the book was based about these different 7 ways people grieve. Lorna wrote the story, Scott did all the art, and I project managed the whole thing. And we did this project and we launched the book. So yeah, Tark and the Grieving Children, we all grieve differently. It's available from our website, which is tarktherobot.com.
I'll put that in the description.
Yeah, and it's TARC. So it's tarktherobot.com. And yeah, I think it's also available on Amazon, but it's not the same printed copy if it comes through Amazon. It's the way Amazon just do it on the
yes.
They're not quite printed so well version. But yeah,
thank you for sharing that. That's something I did not know about you, Dayle. So thank you so much, and I will put all that in the description as well. So if anybody is interested, I think there's a part of when dependent on like age of child when they lose their grandparents, and I think that's like it's a tough age. Just when they suddenly they understand about death, but they don't really understand. And I think I think it's really useful for anybody really about the 7 sorrows thing. I have heard of that, by the way, but to see it in a simple form for children to understand, I think that would be even more powerful, really.
The book was aged 6 to 8, but the whole point was it was educating children and parents, because if they're any younger or even at that age, a parent could read it with them, and then the parent could learn about the different styles of grieving that the children could go through. So the idea was to sort of educate around, and so there are different losses. So whether it's a parent or an aunt or a brother, they're all within the book, within the different 7 ways that grief can come out.
Thank you. Right, so Dayle Adams, where can people get hold of you if they're interested in a psychic reading?
They can, everything is Dayle Adams. So whether it's socials or my handles are Dayle Adams, spelled Dayle Adams. And my website is also dayleadams.com. It's about hopefully to go through a revamp, but so yeah, pretty much I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I keep being told I need to be on TikTok. I'm getting some reading bookings through TikTok, and I haven't actually posted anything on TikTok yet. But
I think that's the universe telling you something, Dayle.
I know, exactly. But yeah, so I'm on all the socials, and my website is dayleadams.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching to the end. I really appreciate it, and it shows that you are serious about moving your business forward. I want to share something with you. When I was little, I watched my mum skip meals so my brother and I could eat because she didn't have enough money to feed us all. That pain changed everything. I promised myself I would never need to rely on anyone else financially. I worked relentlessly towards financial independence. Even as a young parent of 19, I still worked. And once I achieved financial independence, I became passionate that everyone deserves the same. But here's what I've discovered. Successful business owners can feel financially trapped just in a different way. And that's why I created the Money Metrics Academy to help you understand your essential business numbers in under an hour a week. No jargon, no overwhelm, just the clarity you need for true financial independence. Why not join the free entry-level membership and see how the community can help you? Let's get unstuck together.